I'm a hairy person. I know in a room full of Indian people, that's not the most groundbreaking thing I could say. But as you can tell by my accent, I grew up in England, and most of my childhood growing up was white. The books were white, the people on TV were white, and the kids at school, most of them were white. I desperately wanted to look like them, but I was dark and hairy. And so for years, I did what I could to contort myself. I hated my hairy arms, and so I would always wear long sleeves, even in the summer. I bleached my mustache really badly, so for a while I had a yellow mustache. When I was allowed a razor, I shaved every limb, and at one point I dyed my hair blonde, which was a mistake. I just did anything I could to hide my Indian identity. I grew up feeling both obsessed and a prisoner of my hair. How much attention do you think you pay to your hair? I think some of you will be thinking a lot, your mind and your money occupied by it. And there'll be others who just roll out of bed and you don't give it a second thought for the rest of the day, and that's just smug, quite frankly. I want to talk to you today about the power of hair. Yeah, that hair on your head, your legs, your arms, your face. I think it has far more influence than we give it credit for. Because hair can hold us back, like it did to me in my childhood, but it can also bring us closer to our communities. Hair can help us express things that we don't have words for, and it can also be used as a tool for creating change. As a writer and activist, I'm really interested in how power works, who has it, who doesn't, how we can build it. And realizing that my own experience with my hair weren't that unique to me, I started researching the links between hair and power in society. And what I found was interesting. So women spoke to me about the pain of the lasering and the threading just to live up to the standards imposed on them in society. Men confided in me of the fear of balding and what that might do to their sense of identity. I learned about the potential trauma of getting afro hair treated and relaxed. And I learned about the history of the queer community, where growing body hair has been going on for centuries. Whatever the experience, what seemed clear was that our relationship with hair is complex, and that is universal. Because it's never just about hair, is it? It's about our identities. It's about how we're perceived. It's about who sets the standards and who is forced to follow. But it can also be about taking back power. On the 13th of September, 2022, Mahsa Amini was arrested by Iran's morality police for allegedly not wearing her hijab to government standards. 3 days later, Mahsa was dead. Her family say that she was killed by the authorities. Mahsa's death has sparked rage in the women of Iran and all around the world, from India to Italy. They are taking to the streets, burning their hijab and cutting their hair in protest. We want them to know that we don't care what they think, what their definition of beauty is, said one woman filmed shaving off her hair. We want to show them that we are angry. Now, these women are taking back ownership of their bodies after being governed for far too long. Fed up of being silenced, they are cutting their hair to be heard loud and clear. Now, what is happening in Iran today is something that we have seen in political movements throughout history. Take the British punk movement of the 70s. They were anti-establishment and anti-Thatcher, and they wanted you to know it. Some say that their hairstyle was inspired by the Native American mohawk. They took hairspray, added gel, added bright, bold colors. They looked intimidating, but they were supposed to. And it wasn't just the hair. It was the leather jackets, the safety pins, the Doc Martens. It was like they were putting on an armor to go out onto the streets every day to fight the establishment. Let's look at the US civil rights movement. where activists like the Black Panther wore their afro hair naturally, which was going against the norms of the day. Refusing to assimilate to white culture was an act of rebellion. Still today, men and women are fighting for the right to wear their hair naturally in schools and workplaces in the US. Okay, I'm going to give you one more example. Let's go all the way back to the Roaring '20s and the birth of the flapper movement. After World War I, when women had been given access to working and this newfound sense of agency, it set off a chain of events. First, certain groups of women won the power to vote. Then came birth control. The flappers were formed in this energy of new wave feminism. They chopped off their long hair into short bobs, wore short dresses, and could be found smoking cigarettes and drinking gin in jazz bars. And there are so many more examples. The anti-war hippies, the working class mods, the climate campaigners, trans activists. All of these groups have used their hair as a tool for activism, for building movements and channeling the anger of the oppressed. And the power of hair is not just in pushing back. In my research, I also came across stories of hair creating powerful communities and solidarity, like the barbershops, that are creating spaces for boys and men to open up and talk, and reducing the stigma of mental health one conversation at a time. Or the drag scene, where wigs and hair are used to break rules and subvert norms. Looking at this picture of me now, today, when I thought I was so hairy, I realized I looked fine. I just looked like a normal kid. Today, I don't shave my arms, and as you can see, I'm not afraid to show them. I just internalized this idea of what was normal, because as kids, we're primed to conform. And then we carry that baggage around with us for the rest of our lives. So whether we realize it or not, we all have some shame that's internalized to do with hair. Who here is afraid of going bald, for example? Maybe you've got a receding hairline that keeps you up at night. Or you feel like you have too much hair, like I did. Or maybe you've got curly hair and you think it's frizzy and you wish it was straight. Whatever you feel, that's been imposed on you by the rule makers and the multi-billion-dollar hair industry and anyone who's scared of you accepting yourself for who you are. Because imagine what that would look like if we all just walked around happy and content in our own bodies. Maybe we'd be more willing to question all of the other rules imposed on us. Why don't we make a commitment today to let go of that shame, and make room for something powerful? Those who have utilized their hair as a tool for activism have uncovered a source of power that they didn't realize they had, but it was theirs all along. Because once we stop allowing our bodies to be policed, we can start to use it as a source of our own power.